Yaqeen. It's important to understand, our scholars have divided the different types of knowing into yaqeen, dhann, shak, waham, and taqleed. Jahl murakkab and taqleed. So the first one, yaqeen, right, is i'tiqadun jazimun. It's an absolute firm belief in the mind of the one who believes it, and it's mutabiqun lil waqi'. It corresponds with reality. That's yaqeen. It corresponds with reality. So if you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists with certainty in your heart, you're jazm about it, I have no doubts that God exists, that is yaqeen if it's mutabiqun lil waqi'. If it's not mutabiqun lil waqi', then it's called jahl murakkab. It's compounded ignorance. So when the thing does not correspond with reality, it's called compounded ignorance, because ignorance is divided into simple and compound. Simple ignorance is when you don't know something and you know don't know it. That's called simple ignorance. Jahilun basit. So jahilun basitun is somebody who knows they're ignorant. Jahilun murakkabun is somebody who is ignorant but they think they know. And all of our scholars they're almost in agreement that you can't do anything with that person, because they're convinced that what they know is true and they're not open to other possibilities. So that's yaqeen, is when it corresponds with the reality. Dhann is when you have preponderance of weight or evidence is on the side of yaqeen. So if you look at yaqeen is on one side, certainty, and on the other side, right, is improbability, right? In the middle there is doubt. Doubt is when you can't decide whether it's true or not true, whether it's sound or it's unsound. You just, the jury's out. Moot point, I don't know. That's shak. One is when you think it's true. So, did Zayd arrive? He might have, he might not, I don't know. That's shak. If you say, I'm certain he arrived because I just saw him, that's yaqeen. And that's ayn al-yaqeen, right? And then the person you're telling, if he trusts you, it's ilm al-yaqeen, right? It's a type of certain knowledge. And then you have waham, which is on the other side of yaqeen, which is like, it just has no basis. All right? Now, if the person if they believe, but they don't, and they have an i'tiqad, jazm about it, but it's possible for that to be removed. In other words, somebody could put doubt into their mind, right? That person is muqallid. And that's why in aqeedah, most of the ulama argued that you could not be muqallid. You could be muqallid in fiqh, but you couldn't be muqallid in aqeedah. That you really had to be certain about things for yourself. And so that's very important to know that you know that taqleed is madhmoom in our tradition. And that's why those who argue against taqleed, they're right. Taqleed is not a good state to be in. But this argument that you have to be a mujtahid without the conditions of ijtihad is insanity. So these people that think they can go to the book and the sunnah and not make taqleed of the imams, those people it's crazy. The whole idea is crazy. Because they don't have the tools to do that. If they did, then they have to. And those tools are important to acquire, and everybody who's capable, who has the time, the leisure time, and the ability, they should try to acquire those tools of ijtihad. But very few people have done it in history, and for those of us who have not acquired them, we're obliged to follow those who did acquire them. But to say, no, I'm taking from the book and the sunnah, well, you're going to be on a new religion every day, because there's over 50,000 hadiths. Many of them outwardly appear to be in contradiction. Not many of them, but a lot. Enough of them to be problematic. And there are verses also that appear to be in contradiction. But the mujtahidun have resolved those in both the Quran and the hadith. And those are the people that we follow. So if we try to just go directly to the Quran and the hadith without recourse to these people, we fall into a type of compounded ignorance, which is very dangerous. And Imam al-Laqani says, وَكُلُّ مَنْ قَلَّدَ فِي التَّوْحِيدِ إِيمَانُهُ لَمْ يَخْلُ مِنْ تَرْدِيدِ. You know, that everyone who has taqleed in his iman, that his iman is not free of wavering, that he could waver in it. So that's important. And then he says that Imam al-Subki says, إِن لَمْ يَجْزِمْ بِقَوْلِ الْغَيْرِ كَفَى وَإِلَّا لَمْ يَزَلْ فِي الضَّيْرِ. That if you are certain and the person that you were making taqleed of, he loses his faith, but that doesn't cause you to lose your faith, then that's sound taqleed. So that's like a criterion that Imam al-Subki argued. So then, now so is everybody clear about that, those categories? Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
So could we as students be okay with having taqleed for now?
Yeah, no, you have to. We're all muqallidun. I'm a muqallid, you're a muqallid. We're muqallidun. In aqeedah, you should not be muqallid. Like, I don't consider myself muqallid in aqeedah. Other than, I have taqleed of the school that I follow. I'm Maliki, and my inclination is towards a non ta'wili Ash'ari position. So that's where I am. You know, that's what I was taught. It makes the most sense to me. But it's not taqleed in that I learned the barahin like I know why I believe what I believe, and then I know the arguments of why you should believe in God. You know, I learned the Kalam cosmological argument. You know, I learned the proofs, the adillah that are rational proofs and revelatory proofs. So in that way, you know, it's good to learn a text in aqeedah so that you can get out of taqleed in aqeedah and you have certainty about your faith, of why you believe it. In fiqh, you know, there's some masail that I feel like I know the adillah, I know how they got them, but the mujtahid is the one who knows he can do it with all the rulings of the deen. So there's mujtahidun in masail. Like for instance, in the Mumbers, I studied a lot of different opinions. I read all the different opinions. I went through all the different opinions, and then I came up with my argument for what I thought was the soundest opinion, and I wrote that in a book called Caesarean Mumbers. So that's an example where I took a mas'ala and I really tried to understand it to the best of my ability, and then to make an argument for why I thought that was a preferred argument. His imaginative literature is not just there for entertainment, that there's actually moral edification